All right, y'all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is going on, good folks? We are in the zone with VNZ. Featuring my man Dennis, Big Denny, Uncle Denny, Uncle Henny Denny, whatever you want to call him. We in the Bill's Cafe, though. You see right behind us.
One and only, world famous.
See the signs. You see the fridge full of good stuff, and we back here. So welcome back, Dennis. I know it's almost been a year since we did our last episode down here, but how you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Ready for this draft to get started, man.
All right, you got any plans for the draft? Or you gonna do your normal kind of just chill out and just
my normal thing, set up, get my magazines out, and mark them as they go.
I didn't even think about my draft plans yet.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the Bills normally now pick what 11:30, 11:40
if they pick it all. But I stayed up last year, man. It's
midnight.
Boys made them 2 trades. I'm like, wow.
Again, man. It's a very good chance it may happen again.
Yeah, they're saying right now that it's either they staying put or they're moving around. Now, whether they move out of the first round again or whether they move down, we're gonna talk about that because there are a lot of strong candidates on the board for the Bills. For the Bills Mafia out there. I know most of y'all have been following along, and there's always a fan favorite out there. I think across the board, I would say it might be our Mountain, our big guy out of Michigan, who seems to be like one of the fan favorites there. I mean, would y'all agree?
Yeah, I mean, I will say Kenneth Grant is probably number 1 on my list, if not number 1, number 2.
Right.
Just because it feels such a big need.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's obviously other people out there that we'll try to run through. I mean, I made a list of people, but I mean, for the most part, this is for having fun. If you follow anybody, or if you're friends with Josh Reed, or if you're friends with some of these other guys, they like to do this just for the hell of it. Because I think out of boredom, we know we're about 4.5 months away removed from the real deal.
It's my draft season, though. That's what this term is for. Yeah, but what I'm trying to figure out now is, with one of my favorite players being Kenneth Grant, I think I've been saying it for weeks now, is defensive tackle the biggest need for the Bills? And that's what I'm struggling with myself, and I really don't think it is.
Yeah,
right.
But it's a hole. But with Daquan Jones there, is it the biggest hole? And is the positional value there for first round defensive tackle?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. What you think, Dennis?
I think corner is the biggest hole right now. We don't have another corner. We only have one corner. And it's a lot of D linemen, big D linemen in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if we could get one in the second.
For sure.
With 2 picks in the second, we could probably get a very decent defensive lineman.
Right.
But I don't know about corner.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning in the same boat. It's because, again, right now, we know one side of the field is good.
Yes.
Right now, on the other side, we rolling out Dane Jackson and Jamarcus Ingram.
Yeah.
And again, no disrespect to those two, but those are just ideal depth pieces. That's not who you want starting 17 games for you. So, I think I'm in the same boat. As much as I want a Kenneth Grant on my team, is that corner position too big to overlook in that first round?
Yeah, and I'm probably echoing the same thing. I think I was talking to my guy MJ at work, and I was telling him, I'm like, I'm starting to, over the last week or so, really lean more into a corner on day one, because I'm like, not having a starter opposite of Benford.
Literally, we don't have a starter.
We don't have a starter next to Benford. Like, at least like what you said, Daquan Jones is penciled in, penned in, whatever you want to call it, as your starter day one. Mm-hmm. Now, ideally, I think most fans would agree, like, you want to have a rookie come in there and push Daquan Jones, because we all watch the same Super Bowl. Philadelphia with Jalen Carter, with what's the other one's name? With Jordan Davis. With those guys, man, we remember when they got drafted. I think most people sat back and was like, God damn it, they got both of them big
back-to-back years. I'm like, wow.
Georgia D linemen, along with the linebackers and all that. But like, I remember on draft day when they got selected, most people had the same reaction. It was like, there they go, getting those big dogs up front, literally big dogs up front. And I think the Bills got to take the same philosophy. Now, like Dennis just said, the good thing is that the defensive tackle class is so deep that if you hear these analysts, and that's Mel Kiper, that's Phil Yates, they saying like even as far as day 3, you can find you a rotational D tackle who could come in and be in your 4-man rotation. And we know the Bills like to go in a 4 or 5-man rotation anyway. I just think that the only part I'd be scared about in the going too far back is like, I don't just need a rotational guy. Like
I need to have some upside. I need him to be able to take these reins next season. Nah, this your spot.
Right.
And one thing that I always struggle with is even if you look at Philly, for example, where did they get those defensive tackles? 10, 11, 12?
Yeah, they got them in the first round.
That's the range where you really get immediate impact D line,
especially at that.
Yeah, especially at D tackle. So like, if I'm not getting one of those studs, is a rotational piece for this year worth that first round pick? And I think at that 30? That's the biggest thing that I struggle. I mean, shit. At the end of the day, 30 might as well be a second round pick. Right. You know, it's end of the first. So with the Bills having a solid roster, they have the luxury to kind of, you know, do a pick like that. But you know, I think my internal struggle is a defensive tackle who may be getting 30 to 40% of the snaps worth that 30th pick compared to a corner who I know can be getting 100% of those snaps. Or even a receiver that could be getting a good chunk of snaps.
And I think if you go back in the Bills' history real quick, what was the last couple of D linemen that they got in the first round? What was their impact level? And you got to kind of measure all of that. I go way back. And not way back. I go 15 years ago to Marcel Darius, right? 2011 draft, I want to say, the big draft.
Where that was at?
Man.
Number 3 or
number 3 or number 4. But you look at his instant impact, though. So I will give credit to that. Is it mail? Yeah, sorry, y'all. We got a doorbell ringing. That you got to go. Yeah, go ahead, do what you got to do. Then it's going to take care of some house business. Answer his door. But as he do that, we're not going to do the mock draft until he come back. But if you look at what Marcel Darius did in his first 4 or 5 years, he had a hell of an impact. Then we gave him the bag, and he decided once he got the bag that
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm all right now.
Yeah. But the thing is, even after that, look at the gap between the next first round or even early draft pick on that D line. Yeah. Like there was no early investment in that into that position group to really Ed Oliver.
Yeah, Ed Oliver. Okay, 2019.
That's a big gap. I mean, you had Epinesa the year before that.
No, I think he was after.
He was after. Yeah. So Ed Oliver was really the next.
Number 9.
Impact.
Yeah, because I was at your career, by the way.
Yeah, that was the next big impact player drafted that position. So, like, one thing the Bills have done, they've taken swings at defensive ends. I mean, you got A.J. Epinesa, you got Greg Rousseau, you had Boogie Basham. Like, they've taken swings at that end position.
In that top 45.
But they haven't really, you know, put that same level of emphasis on the D tackle. I mean, you got Ed Oliver. And then Dwayne Carter. And that's it.
And Dwayne Carter, right. And Dwayne Carter was round 3.
Right. For this regime, that's it. That's the only investment from an early round standpoint. Even from a late round. I still can't even think of late round D tackles that were.
Yeah, I think.
It's always let me get a veteran on a 1 or 2 year deal.
That's been a philosophy.
And rinse and repeat. So.
And I think they now starting to realize, like, I think years and years after having to pick up Jordan Phillips, Quentin Jefferson.
Jordan Phillips was a draft pick too, but even then that was the 5th round. I believe.
Right, but Jordan Phillips was coming out of Miami.
I'm sorry. I meant Harrison Phillips.
Oh, yeah, Harrison Phillips, right.
Far about Harrison.
Yeah, but that was like...
But that was still like a 4th or 5th
and we going back to what? That was year 1 or year 2 of McDermott? Yeah, so like, they've gotten some... Overall, they've gotten good talent in the D-line position. We just mentioned Greg Rousseau. We mentioned A.J. Epinesa. Boogie Basham might have been the only miss because I don't even think he's in the league anymore. I mean, he might be with the Giants. Might not be.
Yeah, I think that history just goes to show what their philosophy is on that D tackle position in general. Like, I think they want a stud and then be able to have a guy.
Yeah. Cost
control contract. I know what I'm getting, and I think they've been able to do that at that one tech. You know, filling it with Daquan Jones, but now last year the contract getting older. There's nothing in that stable. Yeah, so, but again, I don't know if I want that as my first pick now. But I know I need that in like my top 3. Like somewhere in his first 2 rounds, I have to walk away with defensive tackle.
You got to. I mean, this draft is too good. Who dropped that off?
No, Dwayne. I did his brakes and some other stuff.
Oh, okay. He bought you some brown water. All right, well, we'll take a shot of that before we go, or whatever.
I ain't gonna crack his bottle.
I know. Right? Nah, man. We'll say that for the
He explained, but for real.
Some bottles upstairs.
Yeah. But anyways, long story short, let's see how our mock draft rolls. And then we'll kind of touch and kind of see where it kind of falls. By the way, we're using ESPN Analytics for those at home. There's a bunch of different draft simulators, if you're watching us, if you're listening, that you can pull up when you go online. So choose the one that works for you. Some of them go only 3 rounds. I think on PFF, it only goes 3 rounds. On some sites, they go to 4 or 7. You can just select the team that you want to do, make trades, not make trades. It's all up to you. We're going to have some fun with it today. But before I press play on the mock draft and we get into what it looks like in the first 4 rounds, let's talk about the first 3 picks in the overall draft, because I always feel like come draft day, those are the most talked about, those are the most debated,
sure. Especially when you got the standalone 1 round on a Thursday now. So.
Yeah. So we know Deion Sanders got his imprints all over this draft, right? Day 1 especially.
Love to see it.
And it's a beautiful thing, because if you think about Deion, he went to Colorado a few years ago, and a lot of people had questions. A lot of people criticized him. Travis Hunter was one of his first commitments, and Travis Hunter at the time was
number one
recruit in the nation,
the whole nation.
And he decided to go to Colorado, and people criticized that. They were like,
Jackson State to start.
Yeah, Jackson State. Then he goes to Colorado. So, like, before we get into those first 3 picks, man, Dennis, I'll ask you first, man. Any flowers you want to give Deion for this process, or like, I mean, how do you see how he was able to transform that program and get possibly 2 of the top 3 picks in the overall draft?
Well, beginning I was a little pissed at him because I wanted him to stay at Jackson. Because now he was bringing a lot of attention.
Right, for sure.
In them black colleges, there's a lot of talent, man. They don't just get overlooked. I don't know how, but they get overlooked.
Right.
And then when he went to Colorado, I said, man, he ain't gonna win there, because they haven't been winning.
Right.
But he was able to bring talent in, and last year before last, they started off good, but then they found out they needed people in the trenches.
Yeah, I'd say they don't have a line.
Yeah, they had
and once
line.
they started getting the big people, which they did this year, it became much better. I give him his flowers. I didn't think he was going to and then I thought once his sons were gone, he was going to be gone.
Yeah.
And for him to renew his contract, I said, well...
He caught me off guard.
Yeah, he got me on that. So I'm proud of him. I'm trying to stick with it, man. Because, they was talking Cowboys and everything else.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
Last thing I wanted
Vegas.
Yeah, just stay where you're at, man.
And that's the thing. I always say there's a amazing amount of talent at the HBCU level. But the difference is it's always the line play.
Yes.
You can find high end skill players.
Yes.
But you can't. Linemen don't grow on trees.
Yes.
Nah.
It's not a lot of high quality linemen.
And normally the good high school ones, and I'll let you finish your point, they normally get recruited by the heavy schools.
Oh, 100%.
So like the Alabama coaches.
In this day and age with NIL, if you're not in the Power 5 with deep pockets, it's going to be tough. And that's the toughest place is that line, because it's only a handful of top end O-line, and especially O-line play. Because, with the athleticism that these D linemen have nowadays, you can't just throw any old 300-pounder and expect them to do something.
You know what's crazy is a quarterback holding out for more money in college? I never heard of that.
Right, I know.
Is that something that's just crazy to me? I was listening like he wanted $4 million or whatever, and they told him no, they give him $2 million. He said I'm out.
And now teams
now he's in the transfer portal.
Who was this?
The quarterback
for Tennessee.
He wanted $4 million. They told him no, and so they said they'll give him $2 million. He said no, and so he
gotta think that's.
He said I'm out of here. He got in the transfer portal, and they said he got 3 schools looking at him. I'm like, is this NFL or is this college?
Yeah, the college game gets spooky. Yeah, in basketball and football.
I thought I'd never see the day that would happen.
And I think I won't got to get too deep into that conversation, but I think it's pros and cons to it. The cons are the parents and the younger kids, they hurting themselves if they go about it the wrong way, because if you play this game of I'm gonna wait and see what school gonna offer me more, and then you end up going to a school where you might not get the same exposure, or you go to a school where it might not even be the same fit for you for what you do as a quarterback.
I think a lot of the issues too is such and such to say they give you that, but by the time you get there, And it ain't exactly what they said.
Yes.
They said we got X amount of dollars for you. Oh, we don't no more. Or a booster backed out. And what leverage you got? Now I got to sue? Like, how does that work?
How does that work?
And
Exactly.
I like the NIL system that they have the ability to make income based
to make
on
money.
because again,
that's
this is
good part.
They made a lot of money off of it.
They
so
did. The Reggie Bushes and the Vince Youngs.
I want them to be able to do that, but I think there needs to be some type of constraints put in place because at the end of the day, I think it affects the development of the players. Because again, in 4 years, you have 4 different schools.
Yeah.
So now you're being taught 4 different ways,
the whole
like 4 different positional coaches, and then 4 different coordinators and 4 different head coaches, and like you're not really getting that development or that consistent voice to help you get to the next level the same way.
Right. I mean,
so all this bouncing around is, I think it's to the detriment of players sometimes.
Yes. And that's why they got to fix that. The transfer portal situation to me is out of control.
Yeah, I think you should be able to. There probably should be a limit on the amount of transfers you can make.
You get like, you
got 4 years of eligibility. Yeah. You got 2 transfers.
Exactly. Yeah. Like don't sit here
every 6 months.
Now you 25.
Like
I'm a transfer portal again.
Get too deep. Somebody, who was I listening to? Said it was a 1,000 people, 1,000 kids went in the transfer portal.
And that's crazy.
And they said it was like 350 openings.
Yeah.
He said, so what happens to the rest of the kids? You can't go back where you left.
Now we just stuck.
So you just out there.
Yeah. And another thing that's tough too, every year these teams and programs have to essentially recruit their current players. Right. So now you have teams that want these players in the portal. What about these high school players that are coming out every year? So now it's like I'm not gonna want this high school senior. Yeah. I want this guy that played 2 years in college already.
Was killing.
And let him have the reins and he'll
that's what
whatever. So like it's a trickle down effect.
4 number 1 seeds was in the finals.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? You can't tell me the transferring had something to do with that.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, all them good players that got plucked off them small schools and
exactly. Now any team that's not a Power 5, now you're just a farm team.
Yep.
Because
you
come here, you develop a little bit, you shine. All right, now
McNeese State ended up getting a dude, dude from Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He played there, Copeland.
Yeah.
And now he back in the transfer portal.
You see where he at now?
Yeah.
NC State now.
Yeah, NC State. Like,
because he went to McNeese State.
Yeah, and now you about to go to NC State.
Syracuse, McNeese State, and now you're going to be NC State.
Yeah,
you just went boom, boom, boom.
Because I even look at UB as an example, not necessarily from the player standpoint, but from the coach's standpoint. How many good coaches done came through UB football and basketball in the last 15 years?
What is this, a second female and the men coaches?
It's been
great men coaches.
It's been 4.
It ain't our fault that they were seen, you know.
Yeah. It's just like, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
You ain't got the pockets to battle at Alabama.
The 2 basketball coaches and the football coaches.
Yeah, the 2 football coaches went to Kansas alone. Yeah. And then there's another one. I'm like, again, it's just, you just pluck what you want from the smaller conferences.
Throw that big money at them.
You can't compete.
Pay them 4 times the amount that UB can pay them, and then they gone.
And that's it. And you got a little small buyout, $500,000 buyout clause.
They was like, which is nothing. We'll take care of that.
I'll give you that in cash.
Yeah.
I didn't even need a check.
It's crazy, but like I said, we can get deep into that. But we came here to talk. Obviously, mock draft. Get ready for that. And then next week's episode, we'll give our final thoughts. But I said before we press load or we press start on this mock draft that we do touch on that top 3. Is it safe to say Cam Ward is going number 1 overall? Do y'all think?
You might as well write it in blood.
Write it in marker.
Yeah.
All right.
Blood.
Okay, in blood. All right. So that number 2 spot, then I'll leave it right there.
Before we go to number 2,
go
I just will say, I think it's finally time Tennessee made a legitimate investment in a quarterback. I mean, they had Tannehill for a little bit. They threw something at Malik Willis. It was a 3rd round pick. They threw something at Levi.
Will Levi?
Yeah, Will Levis. Sorry.
Will Levis.
Yeah, they threw a little 3rd round, 2nd round pick. But it's time y'all actually make a legitimate investment because they
running through quarterbacks like pants.
Yeah. They haven't had a legitimate.
And I feel bad for Will Levis.
They had receivers and no quarterback.
Right. They had DeAndre Hopkins there for a year. AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm. That's sad.
Yeah, I'm definitely
wasted that years.
Yeah, and Will Levis had a couple spurts. I know he had a couple victories underneath his belt where I was kind of like,
that's like the Josh Allen experience on steroids. Will Levis was a whole different animal when it comes to the up and down.
But I will say it make you appreciate at least how we handled Josh, because we know in the very beginning of Josh's rookie tenure, it was Nate Peterman week 1. and we know that lasted about 3
half.
quarters. Yeah, a half. And then Josh got handed the keys out there in Baltimore where y'all was at. But
he's still in the league. That's what's crazy to me. Man, still getting NFL checks.
Still in the league.
It's extremely crazy.
Can I get the Nate Peterman life?
Exactly.
I mean, not even 6 years ago. 8 years ago. I'm sorry.
They ran E.J. Manuel out of the league, and Nate Peterman still.
And Nate Peterman. And y'all ran E.J. out the league. Don't get me started.
Every other quarterback. Aaron Brooks never got a second shot in the league.
Don't get me started.
Nate Peterman still got a check.
I do want to say this real quick because I want to give us at least 25, 30 minutes to do the mock. But Cleveland Browns, if you're the Cleveland GM, I'll start with you, Z. What direction would you go?
Bro, at this point, they are in a tough spot because the things a lot of the stuff they did are like contradictory. You say you want to win, but you have a lame duck quarterback essentially. Right. You have no succession plan in place. You really have no top end talent at receiver at this point. I mean, you have Nick Chubb, which again, prior to injury was one of the best in the league. We got to see how he still develops. Right. You had good talent on defense.
Ain't nobody even off him.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
You got good talent on defense that you let some of that go out the door, but then you give Myles Garrett $40 million a season. Like it doesn't make sense to me because you're not in a position to win now, but you double down in the investment on Garrett, which obviously Myles Garrett is an amazing player, but right now does that make sense for where you are? They need to blow this up. This need to get knocked down to the studs, and you need to be starting from scratch.
Yeah. Yep.
But you are on the books for this massive contract for a couple more seasons,
right? And
you still don't have a quarterback.
Man. Yeah. So what you going?
It's tough for me because I don't know if I love Shedeur Sanders as a second overall pick.
Okay.
I think the quarterback for me, this day and age, quarterback needs to have a certain level of athleticism for me to want to invest a top 3, top 5 pick in the quarterback.
First round pick, period.
And he doesn't have elite athleticism.
Right.
He is a good processor of the field. He's an accurate thrower. He can get the ball to where it needs, but he does take a shit ton of sacks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have that top end athleticism.
Yeah.
But with the way Cleveland's set up, you kind of have to take a swing at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in my opinion, he's the number 2 quarterback in the draft, so that's what I'll have to go for.
So you gotta go Shedeur?
I would have to go Shedeur at that point.
What you got, Denny?
I thought about Shedeur, but I also thought about Watson sitting there making all that money. And he's going to eventually come back. So then what happens? Because Shedeur is still there. So then I was like, well, maybe Carter. But then I'm thinking, you just gave Garrett all this money. What, you just going to have 2 defensive ends and nothing else?
Just wreaking havoc.
And I was thinking, I would have to go Hunter. I mean, that's who I would probably go with Hunter. Because he bring a little excitement. Because everybody going to want to see him. I feel bad for him. I wouldn't want to go to China.
I would not want to go to leave. Would this be?
Go with I know lights gonna be on, but he's gonna, he can play defense. Gonna be on offense. People gonna want to see him.
So if you're Cleveland and you're taking Hunter, is he a 100% corner at this point? Because I feel like as a number 2 pick, I think you got to be a corner full time and then have a package.
He said he want to play both, but I think he's gonna start out at corner.
Yeah.
But I think he's determined to play both. He said he ready to quit if he can't play both. And I'm like,
yeah, you can't do that.
But they said you're going to have to let him, lock him in at one, which I think would be corner.
In that situation.
I think have a package on offense.
And then see if you can handle the trickle in, because you got the meetings and all this offensive meetings and all these receivers. So he going to trickle in the receiver part and see how much of it he can handle.
And the grind is different. Granted, he is an athlete that no one has ever seen before. Like, he's literally one of one.
Yeah.
But this ain't 12 games.
Yeah.
This is 17. I mean, granted, they not making the playoffs, so we're going to cap it at 17
This
for now.
is a serious grind.
That's 17 weeks.
Yeah.
And the information
he's going to be exciting.
Oh,
and it'll bring people to Cleveland, because if you draft Carter, if you will have to go Sanders, because if you go Carter, people be like, Cleveland fans already mad. Yeah. So you gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm jealous
to bring some excitement.
I'm jealous for whatever team drafts Hunter, because the conversations that they'll be able to have all summer leading up to the season is it's going to be good because there's so much you should be able to do with the talent like that. So I mean, I wish Buffalo had him just be able to see it. Because again,
see what he can
if
do,
there was a player, any player in this draft that would be a perfect fit right now for the Bills, is that player right there.
Because he'll scare people half to death. Because now you got him out in the secondary, and then you throw him in on offense. Now everybody watching. You got to get on this dude because he's going to
ball
kill
skills
us.
are through the roof.
So, and you running after him, and you know.
Yeah, I saw. I'll just say for real, I'm undecided, but like, it's tough because Cleveland definitely needs a quarterback, but they also can use some splash plays. They can also use everything, like you said. I think initially I was definitely thinking Abdul Carter just because if you're playing Cincinnati, if you're playing Lamar Jackson, you're gonna want, if your offense sucks, you're gonna at least want to be able to defensively cause havoc to the point where at least I'm putting you in position to give me 20 points a game. Now that's tough to do when you ain't got a whole bunch of explosiveness on offense. So I think from an explosive standpoint, if you really want a playmaker on both sides of the ball, you gotta go Travis Hunter. If you want to just be an all-out top 5 defense in the league, you still got Denzel Ward and them boys, so you can add in an Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett. Worry about 5 years from now, 4 years from now when that time comes. But true. You can add him in, and now you got the 2 best bookends in the league. And obviously Carter got to prove himself.
But I say the thing about that is that top 5, top 10. That's the place where you find elite defensive ends. Yeah, they don't grow on trees. There's only a handful in the league. So if they can get 2. And one still relatively cost control. Again, top 2, top 3 pick ain't cheap. Yeah. But it's still not. It's not 40 million or 30 million a season. Yeah.
And when you see Joe and Lamar, I'm not mad.
Yeah. I would get it.
I'm not mad, but I also get Travis. I also would get Shador, but I think Shador is probably, if we had to go 1, 2, 3, probably going to the Giants. In worst case, I can see him. Probably go to because I know Vegas got their quarterback with Geno Smith, so I could probably see him going. Who did Jets end up deciding they was going to win? Because I almost forgot
Justin
about
Fields.
They went Justin Fields. I mean, that's not out the way.
I mean, that's a guy still at this point.
But the Saints obviously could leap the Jets. The Saints could leap the Raiders. So there's movement that could happen in the top 5, and I wouldn't be surprised.
So something I think I'll keep my eye on. If Cleveland does not pick Shador, I think Giants are in the spot.
They can move around.
Yeah, where they can move around.
Yeah.
If somebody,
if they're not sold on Sanders,
right? If they're not sold on Sanders, which I don't. It could be.
Once you hear that noise, and they're like, Giants traded back.
Yeah,
you already know what time it is.
Yeah, because if someone moves in, it's going to be for a quarterback.
Yeah. So if it's Saints,
if he's there, I think that's a prime spot for someone to hop in. If it's a Saints, because now they're.
It got to be the Saints. Yeah, they got to be the Saints.
Yeah. So if I'm the Giants, though, I think I'd be giving a higher look at Travis Hunter if it's me. If he's still there.
Yeah, I would go Carter.
Yeah, because again, if I got Russell Wilson, I think Russ can get me through a year or 2. If I'm throwing at Neighbors and I'm throwing at Hunter, I can do a lot worse than that.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, if I'm me,
Giants got a good problem.
That would be an exciting offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, I mean, I would want them.
Giants got the keys.
Running back.
They got a good. Like, I honestly feel like Giants are in a good position because they can really go all in and add to their offense. You know, whether it's a franchise quarterback, whether it's a franchise playmaker or a franchise defensive end, you can't really go wrong being number 3 overall. Yeah. And even New England are in a bad spot at number 4, but
they stupid. Yeah, I hate to say it, but
I know.
True.
But we not.
All you have to do is lose that game. And you be in the driving position.
Yeah, they want to prove a point.
They want to prove a point, and now you might be drafting an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what they
tackle. Because again, now I'm gonna get the best tackle on the board because I don't need a quarterback. Yeah. The best DN gonna be gone probably. Yes. The best receiver corner gonna be gone. So now, all right, what's the best tackle I can get?
Yep. When you could have had your choice, everybody been begging you for them quarterbacks. Yep. They would have moved up to get them. Yep. You know what I mean?
I would have dropped right back down to where you at now.
Yep. Could have dropped
picked up a second or a first or whatever.
Could have loaded up with some picks. But no, dude left him, and he knew he was gonna get fired, so he was like doing everything he could.
Yeah, I was so excited when they won that game. I
then
said,
it was dumb. They had stupid. That's now we ain't got to face Hunter twice a year. And then they messed around and I said them dudes stupid. Then they traded their quarterback. I said, sent them to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So now, in the event that anything can happen, but say if he does get hurt or something, what's your backup plan?
Yeah, right. What's the name is gone.
Yeah, because again, like the value you got out of it, I'm like, bro, it's just take that quarterback and develop him.
He was good in college.
He can be your backup for the next 4 or 5 years, and you good.
He was good, man. They talking about him stealing what's the name spot in Dallas.
Oh, Dak?
Yep. They said Dak better watch yourself.
Yeah, where's Trey Lance at? Is he still in Dallas?
Nope, he got let go. I think he was. I don't know. I think somebody just signed him.
Look that up.
Somebody can pull that up now, because I was like, yo, you had Trey Lance, but
he got left out there. Yeah. They let him go.
Yeah, they didn't want to see him play at the end of the last season, which is crazy to me. I said, your season over. Figure out what you got in that boy, if anything.
Yeah, not to change the subject too much, but I couldn't believe that Cook was on the practice squad, man. Yeah, Ezekiel getting you 2 yards of carry and Cook couldn't get on the field.
He with the Chargers.
That's where he went. Yep.
Backing up my man Justin. I do want to tell the people, since I always try to pretend I don't want to hold y'all that long, but the truth is the draft simulator is rolling, and we just talked about the top 3 picks, so I'll just run through the top 3, and then we'll skip on down. So in our draft simulator, Cam Ward went number 1, Shedeur Sanders went number 2, Abdul Carter went with the Giants, and then Travis Hunter ended up with New England. Worst case scenario for me, because I do not want to see Travis Hunter twice a year, just because I think New England is on the upswing. Just from a standpoint, they got the quarterback.
If they have him on one side and Christian Gonzalez on the other side, that's a hell of a
And then even on offense, you got Stephon Diggs, eventually when he's completely healthy, and you have Travis Hunter, and they got a couple other weapons, but that's the least likely scenario. I
then I can't even root for my man no more. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sorry, man. You with the ops. Yeah. But I want to fast forward because I'm noticing a trend here. There's some guys sliding. There's some guys moving up on this mock draft. Will Johnson fell all the way to 17, which is kind of crazy to me, but I can see that happening. There is a sighting back here that I noticed with 2 corners going in the mid-20s that we may have our eyes on, which is Trey Amos and Maxwell Hairston. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. And they got picking right before us as a center guard going to the Washington Commanders. So with that being said, what they have on our board as the best available is James Pierce, edge out of Tennessee. They got our guy, Eamon Worry out of South Carolina. Walter Nolan is somebody who I've heard attached to us as well. And then obviously Kenneth Grant is on this list as well. So I'm going to ask you guys first, man, based on the 10 or 15 that they have available, which guys would y'all take a swing at? And then we'll try to see if we can agree on one.
Yeah, how this board played out is like worst case scenario for me.
Yeah.
Because now you're missing out on the top 4 corners.
Yeah, corners. Will Johnson
and
Amos.
You're also missing out on the top 3 to 4 defensive tackles as well. So now we're
like, I will say,
it depends.
Technically,
Walter Nolan is.
Well, also, Walter Nolan is ahead of that, but Grant, they got slid down here at 35. Now, this is
I didn't see him still in there.
Grant's still there.
So I'm saying,
you hear me moaning over here?
No, I didn't see that.
So if he there, do we all agree that's the right best choice?
If it's me, and based on everything that I said, I didn't even see they had him on there.
Yeah, they had him slid down.
I have my card in my hand. Yeah, and I'm
writing KG. No Garnett.
I'm moonwalking. Yeah, up top and handing this guy for Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, me too. And I think so too. And I'll just say as I select, I think we all agree on that.
As soon as he scrolled that, I went,
yeah. And I was trying to look to see if I saw him aboard.
I kept sliding. So on this draft simulator for people at home, they had him ranked number 35 overall. I've seen on some boards they had him ranked 16th, 17th, 18th, back to the 30s. So like, yes, we miss out on our top 3 or 4 corners, but I think it's something to mention that if one of those D tackles like Kenneth Grant decides to fall for whatever reason, we definitely got to look at that. Now this is a guy that I'm seeing now that we slid down to 56 real quick. Benjamin Morrison. I had some questions about this guy because I had no clue what to make of his information, his name, his tape out of Notre Dame. But they have him as the top-rated corner left at pick number 56 for the Buffalo Bills. Along with that, you got some of the Jalen's in there. You got Jalen Higgins out of Iowa State. Jalen Noel out of, Iowa State. And then you got Jalen Noel out of Iowa State as well. Got some edge D-tackle in there. Alfred Collins, another D-tackle, is in there. Farmer, I love Farmer. Jalen Royals, just a bunch of Jalen's in here. I'll let y'all decide position-wise what would be y'all main focus, and would y'all want to just take a stab at a cornerback because he would be one of the best available, or would y'all want to go into one of the speedy wide receivers that they have on the board?
See, this is where I'm faced with dilemma.
Yeah.
Because I know the Bills' need for speed at both those positions.
Yep.
Because one thing that's still lacking at receiver is someone who can just get out and go.
Right.
From the outside position.
Yep. From that X.
So my gut is like, get me the speed.
Give me the speed, baby.
Because again, when I know Josh, when I know that we have a quarterback like Josh, I want to give him every available weapon that I can get my hands on.
Right.
So
check that 40 time, Dennis. I know you might have it in there. Check it. I want to see
Noel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Noel.
I want to know Noel and Higgins. Between Noel and Higgins, who faster? That's what I'm gonna start basing my shit off of. Once we get the receiver, I'm like, all right, 40 times ain't everything.
Yeah, but I also want a player that plays predominantly outside and not someone.
Yeah, I don't need a slot. I don't need 5. I don't need 5'10", $170 ish. Give me Jada Higgins first. What they got for Jada Higgins? We gonna
Noel, they got 4.41.
Noel, they got 4.41. Okay, I'm not mad.
Higgins is 4.55.
You said Higgins is? Oh yeah, I'm off Higgins. That's giving me possession.
But he's size though.
What? How much size he got?
He's 6'3", 210.
Yeah, I got that.
I got that. Yeah.
Nolan is 5'10", 190.
5'10", 190. I can work with that. You said that's Jalen Noel. Okay. And then they got the best corner left, which is Benjamin Morrison. So, if you don't mind, I got my magazine expert over there. What's the measurables on Benjamin Morrison at corner? I just want to see height, weight, 40, because I need to make sure, man, because I had some people that I wrote down for second round cornerback that I'm not really seeing on this list right now, which is kind of upsetting me. Trying to see if this board gonna give me.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's tough though.
6 feet 190, 4'4".
That's not bad.
Where they got him ranked at? On your
Number 5.
That would be in line for that spot. And only thing I don't like about Noel is I know predominantly he played out of the slot.
Okay.
So at that size, can you expect him to be an outside receiver, or are we really just mixing and matching, throwing him?
And we know we picked 6 picks later. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, all right, what are we doing? So at this point,
might have to go corner.
I think need
says corner.
The need and value probably line up here.
Yeah, because if they got him ranked 44th overall, and we picking 56, and I saw on one board, I think I wrote down they had a first round pick selection on a couple mock drafts that I seen, and I was just like, I want to do my homework on them before next week, but that's definitely going to be one I look into. But I think it's safe to say, if we doing value and need, Benjamin Morrison might have to be that guy out of Notre Dame. Just because, what he said, 6 feet, 190, 4'4".
Yeah.
And he's a projected first to early second. And if we pick at 56, I might have to go Benjamin Morrison.
I'm going the same way.
Yeah, I think this is a point where value and need are in alignment. Because again, I love Dane Jackson for what he is, but I can't walk in knowing that's my number one guy.
Nah, hell no.
And I don't know if he will be either, because he's going to have to come in here and earn it, knowing how McDermott plays. And you're not just going to get handed anything.
Now you pick 6 picks later, and you got on the top of the board obviously the running back of Ohio State, which unless.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not having that conversation.
I was about to say we ain't got.
You want to throw a 5th round pick in there or something?
Yeah,
you can take one out of.
So you still got Higgins and Noel on the board. We both went over there. We got an edge in there. We got a D tackle in there. Tight end out of LSU is on the board. Joshua Farmer, I like him in the second round, but he can be a third rounder. Joshua Farmer out of Florida State. Jalen Royals is one that I would almost be excited to pull the plug on. Even though it's pick 62, they got him ranked 64th overall. Because Jalen Royals, from what I read, he gives you a little bit of that game-breaking mentality. I think he ran a 4.41 in one of the articles I read. Out of Utah State, not a school that you expect to see a whole lot out of. So if you want to pull him up, Jalen Royals, Jalen Royals, Utah State. He will be somebody who I would consider, because if you're telling me Jalen Noel is a guy who is more of a slot guy, Jalen Royals give me a little bit of that outside element from what I've seen, and I might be interested. That's all I'm gonna say. I got him third on one of my lists in my little notepad. What they got him in?
Ran a 4.42.
So a 4.42. Okay, I was close. I said 4.41, I think.
Yeah, that's the level of speed that is needed.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just waiting to get to.
Yeah, it's all good.
Height and weight.
Yeah, because I mean, we went. Just to recap, we went Kenneth Grant. We went the cornerback out of Notre Dame, Morrison. Benjamin Morrison, and now we get to the point where we're going into another Jalen. But Jalen, what's his name? Jalen Royals is right there. I also like Farmer, but if we went Kenneth Grant in round 1, I don't think the Bills, even though they've done it before.
I mean, if they go D tackle 1, I expect them to take another D tackle.
Probably.
But we're talking day 3.
Yeah, maybe 4th round.
Yeah, 4th,
like
5th round, something.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll double down with another second round pick at that. Yeah. So for me, if I'm here, it needs to probably be defensive end or receiver.
Okay. Let me look at what they got edge-wise, just so people can hear what the board's looking like.
They got it right there.
Yeah, because again,
with Femi out of UCLA.
Again, from a
they was talking about him today.
What they were saying? Possible second round.
Yeah, they say he's.
Ooh, okay. Here's another one that's a good sneaky one I've looked at too. Landon Jackson, out of Arkansas. That's the one.
He's another one.
He's another wild card. I like him though.
Yeah.
So you can really, if we going we need a boost in this position, that can fit for wide receiver and edge. Because edge, we know, you got Joey Bosa, you got Epinesa, you got Greg Rousseau, you got Javon Solomon, but do you got another developmental guy who you can bring in and really give you something?
No, I mean, right now, after this year, we have Rousseau and we had Solomon under contract.
Almost like that Landon Jackson. I almost like that more than Jalen Royals.
Yeah, because again, it's for me, it's those two positions. Because right now on the edge, we got Bosa. Yeah. That's a 1-year deal. If he balls out, he probably gonna sign a big contract somewhere else. Yeah. If he don't ball out, he gonna sign a contract somewhere else. I mean, we got Michael Hoyt, but first 6 games he out.
First 6 games. That's what I'm saying. Like
he's more of a chess piece.
That's more of a second half of the season playoff rush.
Yeah,
we'll figure that out.
I forget he's under contract moving forward too. But
so I guess it really comes down to not even a player. Even though Landon Jackson, I think from a character standpoint, they're very high on him. But like now it comes down to what would you rather have on your back end second round pick? Would you rather add to your defensive end room, your defensive line room, or would you rather add a receiver?
Yeah, I mean Jalen Royals, 6 foot 205, ran a 4.42.
That's tough.
I mean that's the type of skill set that I want.
Facts.
In that offense.
Yeah, I meant to Jalen Royals. I like it.
We're going to go Jalen Royals. Then Jalen, welcome to the Mafia, all right?
Because now you're rolling out Royal. You're rolling out Josh Palmer. You're rolling out Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir. And that's your top 4.
And you got Curtis in the
lane. And then you got Curtis Samuel. So now that's a legitimate
valid, especially in this day and age where, it's hard to get you 3 good receivers on a team. Better yet, having 5. Yeah. The next one we have on our board, folks, is round 4, pick 109. I think we got 2 4th-round picks. So this will be very interesting because right now we have one of the defensive tackles that slid all the way down to the 4th round. He was 52 ranked overall on the board. Omar Norman Lott. Not too much research on him. I'm going to guess he's a smaller defensive tackle, but you can look him up real quick, Z. Omar Norman Lott.
Yeah, I got you.
I kind of want to see, why did he slide in this mock all the way to the 4th round?
Yeah, and I think
6'1", 291.
Okay, nah.
So that's more of a 3-tech.
Yeah, nah.
But again,
I'm listening.
I do need that too, because right now, after Ed Oliver,
Dwayne Carter,
it's just Dwayne Carter. You don't really even have anybody in that matches that skill set. Because again, it's still needed in that rotational piece.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think Dwayne Carter was terrible, but I don't think he did enough to say, "Oh, this is my role in the rotation. Right. I'm the one dropping 45% of the snaps, and this is me." So, you know, I'm definitely open to that position and as a 3-tech, and I don't even know if the Bills are gonna end up taking 2 4th-round picks. I wouldn't be surprised if these
that's game moves around. Yeah, we pretending there's no trade.
We're not doing no trade.
We're not doing no trade.
If they walk out with 2 4th-round picks, I'll be surprised. I'll put it like that.
So here's where I'm landing with that. It's like I'm looking at, based on the board, they got a couple tight ends on there and a couple safeties that I might eye, because at tight end you got Terrence Ferguson and you got a guy out of Texas who both ranked in the top 90 on the board, and we're picking at 109 here. But then you got 2 safeties here, one out of Penn State, Jalen Reed, and you got Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma, both ranked in the top 95. And with us picking at 109, you can really decide which direction you want to go. Like I said, you can go with this D tackle, add to that rotation, top 55 overall, or shit, add to the O-line if you feel like you need to. But I think tight end and safety, based on this board, it's not bad options. I'm really trying to ignore running back right now because I'm really like trying to stay away from the idea that we really need to add to that room.
Yeah, I mean, this is the spot where I would want a defensive end, but
just the way
the value right now doesn't line up with that.
It don't, unfortunately.
So now it's, am I adding to that D-line rotation, or at least for me personally, am I
a sneaky one? But I might be able to get him later in the first round. But this guy right here, I don't know why they got him so far back on here, but Deion Walker. So for those who don't know, Deion Walker's about 6'7", 345.
Yep, 6'7", 340.
And this dude, and that's why I might see where that second, 4th round pick fall, because I may not have to reach and get him right here at 109 on this board.
Yeah.
But this dude, I know they say he played with a slight injury in his back last year or something like that.
6'7", you're gonna keep having that injury in the back, though.
But if you get him in the 4th round, where they got him at?
They got him projected
First/second round in the one magazine. That's probably, the magazine probably about 4 weeks old. But like, I'm just saying, I'm not mad if they double dip, like we mentioned, in the 4th, 5th round at D tackle.
This is the spot I wouldn't mind safety either.
Right.
Because again, we have what we assume is Cole Bishop walking into a starting role and Taylor Rapp. However, this is Taylor Rapp's last year in the contract. Are we re-signing him? Is he the safety for the future? Or right now, is he just riding this out and the next guy coming in? And knowing McDermott, they don't really start rookie safeties all like that.
They don't.
So are we having?
And we got that one dude. We got that one dude in Washington.
Right.
I forgot his last name. Yeah,
Fisher.
I think it's Farmer.
What's his last name? It's gonna kill me. It's cool. We're gonna come back to it, but we got a safety. We got a safety from Washington who we added to the gang as well. We're hard hitting physical safety. But I will say, so are we deciding now? Do we feel like we need to decide between safety and D tackle? Because right now the value says Jalen Reed or Billy Bowman here make the most sense. Picking out 109. They got Jalen Reed 87th overall on their big board. They got Billy Bowman here 92nd overall. Based on what I've heard, I've seen a lot of both in 3rd rounds, 4th rounds. Jalen Reed coming from a Penn State program might intrigue me a little bit more, but Oklahoma has also had some guys come out of Oklahoma who are pretty decent. So, I mean, if I had to follow the board, I would probably go safety Jalen Reed. But I definitely am intrigued to see if Deion Walker lasts another 10 or 15 more picks, because he probably going to be my next pick. Because if I'm taking a swing.
Because right now, I feel safety just because Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp, I'm calling him Farmer for now, for lack of a better name, because until he actually remember, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, what is that?
And we got Cam Lewis, who's a pseudo safety, and we got.
So they got them both back to back.
He's kind of small, man.
Well, they got him at 5'11", 211.
We got Bowman at 5'9".
Yeah, so that's why I went Jalen Reed, and Jalen Reed 5'11", 211. I can deal with that.
Yeah, that 5'9" not gonna work for me.
Yeah, I'm good. I got that in Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, and Demar Hamlin, that's the other safety. So, like, for me, I feel like I need another safety in the mix, but I also need another D tackle in the mix still, too.
Did they take him? I'm mad at them. They did. I can try right to him. All right, so I just want to see real quick where did our guy go. Chris Paul went. Deion Walker went to the Broncos. So, I guess I should have picked him last round. It is what it is. I mean, last pick, but guess what? That's this type of shit that happens on a day. Like,
We didn't even make the selection. You just did that role.
I did. You know why? Because I was looking out the left. Huh?
Derek Forrest.
Yes, Derek Forrest.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
Got the F right.
but I had to go Jalen Reed because based on the board, they had Jalen Reed above, slightly above Billy Bowman. But here's where it gets tricky. This is the last pick of the 4th round. A couple more safeties on here. Running back edge is there again with Ingram Dawkins there out of Georgia. Couple more wide receivers, running backs. This center keeps popping up from Ohio State. Seth McLaughlin. And there's a couple more edge guys. Another Jordan Phillips, of course.
We can't have another Jordan Phillips.
We can't do that.
Or we keep running it back with a Jordan Phillips.
Yeah.
Jordan
I've heard about Dorian Strong being decent. I don't know.
So this for me.
Kobe Bryant. Did you
I saw him.
Is he on the board? Probably should be.
Still towards the bottom there.
Yeah, he right there.
Corner. See, I would not mind that pick right there.
Yeah, either or, because I like him and Dorian Strong.
Because this is another year I would love to see a double dip at corner.
Yes.
I take double dip at corner and double dip at tackle.
Remember what happened with Elam?
Yep.
Yeah. So this will be the position I would want a corner in.
Okay.
I still want a DN, but I'm not chasing it.
Yeah.
But I also think this is a spot for a guard too, if one was available.
They got that center guard out of Ohio State.
Yeah, because again now
this guy right
you
here.
bringing back the entire line from last year, from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Not even starters, backups too. Everybody's still in the contract.
Yep.
But moving forward, we got McGovern, who's expiring soon. We got David Edwards, who's expiring soon, and we got. Why am I drawing blanks with names today?
You said McGovern.
David Edwards.
David Edwards.
Oh, Cyrus Torrance is another year from needing a contract, and he's gonna need some money. So we already got big money tied up in the tackles. If we were signed McGovern, that's gonna be decent money signed in the corner. Are we gonna have big money available for Osiris?
Right.
So now I'm thinking, is this time to get a guard in the system, ready to roll? Even though we already have a couple guys in the pipeline too.
Right.
So if I was thinking guard, this probably will be around the time, but I'll also be nervous because now again, who is that kicking off? Because I don't expect a guard in the 4th round to make it to a practice squad if you don't make that 53 off rip.
Right.
So with all that being said, I'm leaning corner again.
Corner. What you got, man? You got center guard or you got corner?
If Kobe's still there, I would.
You heard about Kobe?
Yeah,
I've been hearing good things about Kobe.
Where they got him on your board real quick? I just want to see. Because right now they got Kobe and Dorian Strong on there. I know I heard a couple good things about Dorian Strong too. Where my fake list at? I got Dorian Strong here. Where they got Kobe and Dorian? Oh, okay. I heard about Jacob Pierce too.
I know you gotta put Zion Alexander on the list just off GP.
Yeah.
Gotta have a Zion on the team. Yeah, but I think at this point,
You leaning corner?
yeah, I'm leaning corner just because again I want the double dip at that corner position, just
especially in the top 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I think when you double dip 1 through 5, it's better than double dipping and saying I got a 1st round corner and a 7th round corner.
Yeah, because the odds of that hitting are low.
They say he was 3-time All Big 12.
Who was that? Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I know from what I remember about him, or what I remember hearing about him at Kansas, is more of a zone-based scheme.
Okay.
So again, that fits a lot of what the Bills do from that standpoint too. So that's why I would lean too.
Got you. So I'll tell the people listening what we got for our mock in the first 4 rounds. We got Kenneth Grant, number 1 overall. We got Benjamin Morrison at corner with the 2nd pick. Jalen Royals, the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. And then we got our next selections in round 4, Jalen Reed at safety, and then Kobe Bryant at corner. So the good thing is we kind of addressed every type of need/soft need that we had. Defensive tackle, corner, wide receiver, safety, corner again. I think the only thing that we really weren't able to really agree on or find was that edge.
The edge didn't work out.
And then like a backup center or a guard.
Linebacker.
Or linebacker, right. Because I think Paul, or whatever they want to call him, he ended up going a few steps before.
Yeah, because center guard is not a need.
It's not a need, but it's like...
Right now. Because, I mean, they got a stable of backups right behind them. So, like, I don't even have to make that now. That's just like, if something happens,
if somebody fall,
then I'll be cool.
Got that.
But, you know, only tweak I would want to make, I would want to find a defensive end in there.
Yeah.
But
and we had the choice with Landon Jackson.
Yeah, based on how it fell, I mean, I like the positional breakup of it. I'm walking out of there with a defensive tackle,
who can
a
start.
receiver, a safety, and 2 corners. Like, again, I'm replenishing back into my defense, which needs it, and I'm giving Josh another weapon.
Right.
So for me, that's exactly what I want this draft to look like. You know, again, the order. I don't care about the order, but if I can walk away with those positions and out of those first 4 rounds, I'm happy.
And I think I already know what you're gonna say, but
do Cook scare you enough to go after a running back?
It really depends, man. If I'm Brandon Beane or if I'm Vel, if it's me, I'm not. But Brandon Beane knows more than we know. So if I keep telling people, if we see one of those running backs go in the first 2 days, not day 1, but day 2, if the Bills select a running back, or early day 3, I think people should start to be like, oh, there's a strong possibility that this may be his last season, or they may move on from him before the season. But like, I don't really see that happening, just because they brought back, not only did they bring back Ty Johnson, but they got Ray Davis in year 2. They re-signed Darrington Evans, who was like our 5th string running back. But then you got Frank Gore also on the practice squad. So like, it's nothing that I feel like, especially if I'm good with James Cook, that I feel like I need to draft one. But I have heard from these experts that there are going to be a lot of splashy running backs available. Like, even if you don't need a bruiser, man, if you need a playmaker running back, they like, this draft is going to have some. So if you want a playmaker at running back, they're going to have some options for you. And I don't know if Brandon Beane is at that point where he like, I'm going to put on my shades and not look. Because if he's looking, he can find a running back in this draft. It's just that it will be very telling to a lot of people in the fan base, because if you see one going round 4, round 5, then that's going to make me say, oh, so who not coming back? I know Ty coming back. All right, he was too valuable. I know Ray coming back.
Rookie contract.
Darrington Evans, I know that's more practice squad. Gore's practice squad, but like, then that's gonna make me say, okay, James Cook, what's up? So that's one thing to really keep an eye on position wise for those who are keeping an eye on.
I mean, I will say, I think my team is better with James Cook on it, obviously. But at the same time, I also think, based on how they scheme things up, the production is replaceable.
Yeah. That
I
can
don't
be
necessarily
said.
mean it's in one player replacing that production.
I mean, as a collective.
As a running back room, I think the production is replaceable. But the team is better with him on the field.
Because he gives you an element, like I told people, I think I was telling this guy at work, I'm like, he gives you something that they haven't had since LaShawn McCoy, and really since, CJ Spiller went off for the 1 year, but like the having a guy you can turn around and give the ball to and it can take off for 50 yards is something that we've missed for the last 7-8 years. Shea would make it look a little different because he'll make one guy miss and then kind of boom, boom. But Cook is like, he ain't even really trying to make nobody miss. It's really like, if he get to a hole,
he just sprint.
And he got like, it's almost like he got Vaseline on his elbows or something, because he's slippery.
Yeah,
and he got that good,
with speed already,
right?
But around the edge,
but
he was very got the angle, and
man,
you do not.
And his contact balance is very underrated. So like, if we were to move on from him, he would definitely be missed. But like you said, the Bills have shown with Josh Allen, with Brady especially, they will find a way to still be productive. Because I think that was the number one question when we lost Diggs last year, was like, wait, how are we still going to average 28, 29, 30 points a game? They did it with Mac Hollins. They did it with Keon Coleman playing half a year. They did it with Amari Cooper giving us fucking 12 catches. So, like, for the season, right? Not in one game. So, like, they will find a way, yes. But I would prefer, definitely, Fours on the team, because, again, I can only go off what I remember last. And when I watched the Kansas City game, only 1 or 2 players on offense gave me life. And he was one of those guys. Like, he gave me life on that 4th and goal run when he gave us the lead with 6-7 minutes to go. He gave me life in the Detroit Lions game when he broke away for 2 of those runs where they trying to pull him by the dreads to get him down. Like, the dude is a beast. And like I said, whether they can agree on a number, we'll see. Like I said, I'm not a GM, man, and thankfully, right now I'm not in a position of Brandon Beane because he got some tough decisions to make over the next 2 seasons. I mean, there's a lot of good, but I always say, anytime you say you gotta make tough decisions in sports, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, no, he's got good.
Yeah, that means you drafted right.
The thing is now, this offseason, they've definitely shown what the core of the team is moving forward. Yeah. You've extended
Terrell Bernard,
Khalil Shakir, Benford, Rousseau. This is your new core.
Yep.
But does this core include
James Cook?
I'd say a $10 to $15 million running back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a decision that needs to be made. And I don't even know if it's necessarily a James Cook decision. It's do I want to invest $10 to $15 million in one running back?
Yeah. It was a bad rumor out there. They offered him 12. I don't know.
Yeah. If they offered him 12 and he ain't taking, then I'm washing my hands.
Yeah. That's when Beane
give me 12.9.
Yeah, because I would sign up for 12 right now.
I would too. Yeah, and I think
He said Beane. That's why Beane said what he said.
Yeah, if I offer you 12 and you don't want that,
he was a little ruffled by it.
Yeah, we good then.
But
you gonna get your carries this year.
You play out your contract,
and then we gonna keep it going. You gonna hit your 15, 20 carries per game.
But like I said it, I think a couple episodes ago, I think for him, the pros and cons of having a brother that played in the league is that your brother done seen the worst of the worst. He's also seen the best of the best. The worst of the worst is he's fresh off of essentially getting kicked out of the league by saying
he did that.
He did it to himself,
but Minnesota.
Right. And I think that his brother, being probably his closest friend, is like, yo, please get your money. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't get it now, you're going to be sitting on the couch come 2027, and you're going to be eating popcorn with me, and we're going to be watching Red Zone together because they're not paying running backs nowadays. So I think his brother understands the decisions that he made and how it impacted him.
You don't want to do the same thing.
And right, you don't want to do the same thing, but unfortunately for him, like I always say, sometimes the people closest to you will kill your situation. And with Cook, this is where he's going to have to be able to lock himself in a room and say, yo, I got to make the decision for the man in the mirror. Is this a good winning situation for me? Yes, it is. Is this a opportunity where I can win a Super Bowl? Yes, it is. Will I still be able to be productive with this team? Yes, I can. So when you answer some of those questions and can you set your family up for success? Of course you can. You already got a brother that got millions of dollars. So like, if I just signed for 4 year, $55 million, is that going to kill me? No, bro. Like, so I think he got some tough decisions to make. Brandon Beane probably is going to stand where he stand. But like, ultimately, again, as I said a few weeks ago, we just fans. We can want what we want. We can be mad at what we want to be mad at. But let the process handle itself. And at the end of the day, guess what? Y'all not going to stop coming to the games. Y'all not going to stop turning to Channel 4, turning to ESPN. Y'all going to still watch whether Cook is there or not. So be prepared for whatever. But let's get ready for this draft. So we are slightly over 1 hour. Any final thoughts from you, Dennis, before we sign out?
Well, my thought left on this draft that we just did. I like the draft we just did. I'm happy with it.
If that played out,
goes the way we did it. Anything close to that, I'm really happy. Because I got me 2 corners, I got me a D tackle, I got me a receiver, and I got a safety.
Yeah, can't be mad.
I didn't get an end, and I didn't get a linebacker or another offensive
But I can find me a 33-year-old veteran I can throw in there for a year.
Right. We okay at tight end.
We'll rinse and repeat for that defensive end.
So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, we got some reinforcement coming. We got a Ogunjobi, and we got coming back after 6.
We got Carter, we got Solomon, and
we got guys.
Yeah, and like I said, throw a low contract at him.
Forgot about this. Got drafted last year. That's going to only get better this year.
Yeah, someone 31, 32 years old who just vet minimum.
Fucking even 27, 28. There be guys after their first rookie deal, they try to find their way back into.
And I know somebody said something to me about Ramsey, which is
that contract is untradeable.
And then somebody said something else about
Bradbury.
Bradbury was in for an interview, but what was the other one, man? Oh, Gilmore. You know.
No, I'm good.
Bradbury was in where?
He came in for a visit today.
Yeah, that was early this morning. I mean,
today for a visit.
He not what he was 2 years ago, but I mean, veteran
corner. We don't run the same defense today. We run a zone deep.
Right.
So he might just fit in perfect. Who knows?
Well, they said, the connection that they made was that Carolina drafted him in 2016.
Yes.
So
known.
So the scouting was there.
Yeah.
Brandon Beane and McDermott was there.
Heavily scouted at that time.
Yep.
So, I almost forgot he came from Carolina. So, yeah, he was Carolina. Then he went to, obviously, the Giants. And he went to the Eagles. So, he's been in the NFC most of his career. But, I mean, I always say adding a veteran. I know we swung around the idea of Tre'Davious White last time. But adding a veteran who you can just say, hey, if all fails, if my corner is not ready, if Benjamin Morrison or any of these guys, Maxwell, Harrison, Amos, if these guys not ready day one, at least I got a corner I can plug in there.
Who's been there, done that.
And hey, listen, let's get you going. And then when the time is right, then you insert your rookie. Or when that veteran corner ain't doing their job, then I'm throwing in maybe my rookie and saying, hey, listen, come in there and please do better than him. Because Dane Jackson is really like you're playing fucking F. Jamarcus Ingram is your playing D.
Disrespect.
Hey man, I gotta keep it real, man. Dane
playing F
is all love, but listen, Dane, I'm not doing that.
Not F.
I had nightmares.
Come on, man. It's C.
I had
not F. That's disrespectful.
Because when they put him in, I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Dane.
Listen, y'all.
Elam was my F last year.
No, y'all gotta put some respect on Dane Jackson name.
Listen, Dane.
He's not the top tier cornerback, but he
Facts.
held his own.
He tried.
He held his own.
He
He was
tried.
better than Elam.
He ain't let
he
that
was better than
defense
Elam.
down.
Yeah, he was better than Elam.
There was never a point in time like, yo, Dane Jackson is killing this defense.
No,
To me, it was more so like, yes, always in the right place.
The
He
thing
could wrap up.
is, you were able to insulate that second corner position when you had Hyde and Porter back there.
Yeah.
In which we don't.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm even more adamant now. Like we need a guy in there because
CB2
we don't have that same type of margin for error.
CB2 is a necessity. Like I said, it almost feels like 4 years ago again when we went in there trying to get Elam and then we got Benford. But like, to me, I'm coming in with the same mindset. I remember we sat downtown.
I don't care how you get it, but I need to walk away with a starter.
Give me a
whether it's coming the first,
starter.
the fifth, the ninth.
Yeah.
I don't care where you
And
find them. I need to
and
walk
like I
out of
said,
this
you can
draft
still
with
find a
starter.
veteran corner. I'm still cool with Bradbury, Tre'Davious, whoever they get. But give me one, day two, so I can at least feel the promise of, whew, I got me a rookie that can play with Benford. Because now Benford locked in for the next 5 years.
Ideally, if you can find me a veteran that can keep the seat warm until his top two pick is ready.
Until he's ready.
And if he's ready right away, then cool.
Oh, yeah, cool.
But if not, keep the seat warm until
Exactly.
my guy get his feet wet, and now we're going to take it
And
around.
real quick, that's the same way I feel about receiver this year. It's like, if you get you a receiver day 2 or day 3, and he's not ready day 1, cool. At least let me get a guy when the number is called, he can put the fear in whoever's out there against him. Because quiet as kept, we got 4 wide receivers we can put on the field next year already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got Palmer, Keon, Shakir, and you got Curtis Samuel. You can just roll that out.
Yeah, there's just a particular skill set that's missing.
If you just want to add that dynamic piece in there to put fear, like Kansas City, they got Xavier Worthy, right? There are teams out there who got that one explosive threat where you like, whoa, hold on, let's switch up. Let's go ahead. Matter of fact, we going to zone. We're not doing man-to-man because this guy about to kill us.
I even like that one receiver we had. I can never remember his name. But remember we threw the little flare pass to him and he took it to the house?
Oh, Tyrell Shavers?
Shavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still in the mix
Yeah,
too.
he's still
And
in
right
the-
now,
yeah.
that's probably your fifth.
Yeah. So you,
And
so
that's an outside guy.
yeah,
And,
because he's like 6'4", 6'3".
and that's a listen. If you can slide him into like a Mac Hollins type role where you can be your gunner on special
Because he
teams,
know
you
the
can come
Bills.
in, get a handful of
Yes.
snaps, be
Yes.
good run blocking.
And he balls every preseason.
Yeah, he's got
too.
the skill set for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know that being
Camp, he lights it up in camp. I said, I don't understand.
It's tough. Like I always say, like man, and that's a separate episode, but it is so tough to get on the field in the NFL. That's why I give
As a
kudos to those
receiver.
guys. Yeah, especially at receiver, because like we like, oh well, you gotta do this and that, and then you gotta be able to be great on special teams.
like you the fifth receiver, you got to play.
Yeah,
special
and
teams.
that's why I think
Ain't
Mac
no way around
Hollins,
it.
you know, was so valuable because he
And that's
gave
why
you
he's still
both.
in the league.
Right, that's why he's
players
still in
like
the league.
that can last for
Yeah.
10 to 15 years because
Exactly.
they do the dirty stuff.
Yep. You gotta be willing to do it. Rundowns, all that. Like you gotta get dirty because that's the only way you're gonna be in the league. But anyway, like I said, we can go on and on. We gotta say something for next week. We gotta say something for, obviously spring camp, training camp, all of that good stuff. Schedule releases, 4 weeks away, less than 4 weeks away probably.
Yeah, maybe probably mid May.
Yeah,
a couple weeks after the